I didn't really have my dad full-time into my life until I was 16.
You know, you watch your kids grow and develop, you watch them learn, they make mistakes, as we all do.
Steve Harvey might have thought that all drama surrounding his questionable reputation is over, but folks, apparently, it's his own oldest son who put the last nail in the coffin of Harvey's career. He spilled some major tea about his famous dad, and it looks like Steve's about to face even worse cancellation than Diddy. According to insiders, there's been some serious issues in the family, and Steve's biological kids are done playing these games and pretending everything's perfect. Apparently, Harvey's favoritism of certain family members, and I'm talking about Lori, is causing some major rifts in this blended clan, and the secrets finally left the family Nancian.
At the house, we had full control of what was going on.
Right.
By what it looks, Steve couldn't see the problem for years, and while the tensions were brewing, he thought he could buy his son's love with a thick pile of cash. As one insider claimed, as for how Steve is coping with the turmoil between his loved ones, it's alleged that his way of handling it has been to throw money at them, buy them gifts, or just go into another room to chomp on a cigar, but it's not working. Well, Steve should have known that money can't buy him love, and his dirty secrets about being a lousy dad would emerge sooner or later. So Steve's been wearing the dad hat since way back in 1982, and now he has 7 kids in total, including twin daughters Carly and Brandy and son Broderick with his first wife. Then, during his dramatic marriage to Mary, he fathered another son, Winton, and the final addition to his family were 3 kids of Marjorie that Harvey has adopted in a generous move.
Marjorie, what's happening?
Well, we have lots of surprises here for you.
By 2008, when Steve was walking down the aisle for the 3rd time, he also decided to adopt his new wife's 3 kids, Morgan, Jason, and yep, you guessed it, Lori. And folks, according to his son Broderick, this is where all the trouble has started. Ever since Marjorie and Lori appeared in his life, Steve wasn't exactly winning any Dad of the Year awards. And the truth started to surface about Harvey's treatment of his own children. His twins, Brandy and Carly, straight up felt abandoned by him because he was so busy chasing his comedy dreams. Dad, we didn't understand why you left us, but we know now you had to go. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Steve's had his redemption arc for sure. After years of estrangement, he finally patched things up with his daughters by throwing cash at them.
Because I don't care how much you make, they gonna find a way to spend it. I don't know what rule they live by, but that is one of them.
And get this, when Carly got hitched in 2015, Steve walked her down the aisle. Apparently, the comedian believed it was the best way to hush his children and keep playing a happy family. Steve might have had his rough patches, but at the end of the day, he turned out to be an amazing dad, at least for girls who accepted his generosity and publicly made amends with him. Yet, it didn't work with his oldest son Broderick, who was more than eager to share how his dad abandoned him at an early age and tried to patch up things years after to sustain his pristine image of a perfect dad. As Steve himself confessed, I wanted my son to help me run my company, my oldest son Broderick, who's in television. And apparently, it was a great opportunity for the young man to finally get his revenge and air all the dirty laundry he had on his father.
I 100% stand by you going to open up that conversation, and it's not going to change anything between you and your mother.
While some of Steve's kids could have been bought with cash and luxury gifts, Broderick didn't want to be known as Steve Harvey's son only. The young man forged his own path as the entrepreneur and has made a name for himself in the fashion and photography industry. After studying art at university, Broderick went on to start his clothing line, and once he felt strong on his feet, he decided to expose his dad and his real attitude. The young man was raised by his mother in Cleveland after his parents separated. At the age of 16, he moved to Atlanta to live with his father full-time. In his own words, he wanted to learn how to become a man. At 16, I knew that's what I needed as a man. It was 2007 when Steve was already riding with Marjorie and getting closer to her kids.
First word I ever said to her was, I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna marry you one day. That's the first thing I said.
So, as Broderick claims, what he has witnessed there was far from the atmosphere of love. The family dynamics is getting even creepier with each new year. Seeing that Daddy doesn't want to stop idolizing his wife and adopted daughter Lori, other kids began distancing themselves. And if you do a little search, folks, you may notice twins being absent from Harvey family photos for more than a year. Looks like Steve poured the rest of his affection and love into his adopted kids, and the hostile atmosphere quickly settled in their family mansion. For years, fans couldn't help but wonder why only adopted kids get special treatment. As one person commented, if everyone were to see how Steve had treated his wives as biological children, no one would be praising him right now. And another user added he was stupid for doing that. Didn't take care of his own. Sad. It seems like Steve made the wrong choice between his kids and his love for Marjorie. And if the family dynamics are exposed soon enough, the comedian and TV host may pay with more just public backlash, but his entire career as a relationship and motivation guru after his son reveals it all.
What does he have? What does he have?
Let me remind you folks that some of the kids always been vocal about their mistrust towards Marjorie. And as Steve himself mentioned, when he announced he was going to marry for the third time, they cool with everything. The 4 girls, just total mayhem, totally against it. And apparently, when his kids mentioned that they see Steve and Marjorie's union as destructive for his relationship with biological kids, Steve just chose to turn a blind eye to all their reasoning.
I'm sitting there going, y'all ain't got a relationship, a good job, a career. I'm paying for colleges and I don't know how I'm listening to y'all making some decisions.
Looks like the real mess is only getting started, and the biological kids of Steve, twins Carly and Brandy, and also 2 sons from the TV host's previous marriages, Broderick and Winton, have all experienced new wave of treatment when Marjorie settled in the house with her kids. The streets are talking that they are tired to see her blowing thousands of dollars on her luxury lifestyle. And it looks like Steve is so used to be just a money bag in Marjorie's life that he doesn't see how this woman is deceiving him right under his nose by playing with his feelings for her. However, Steve's kids are shocked to find out that his dad is planning to squander all his fortune on Marjorie's caprices. And he doesn't even hide this fact from his children.
When you come to the reading of the will, it's gonna be some shocks. Now, me and your mama is spending 85% of all the money I'm making.
Now you may think it's all about money, guys, but let me tell you that it's not the only thing that Steve's kids are worried about. Since the very start of Steve's relationship with Marjorie, the whole thing felt fake for them, and they even confronted their famous dad about marrying this vile woman. As Steve himself admitted in one interview, and all the girls went bowling and came back and decided they didn't want us to get married and said they don't think it's the right thing to do. However, their worst fears came true after the TV host and Marjorie tied the knot in a lavish ceremony. The Family Feud host completely focused on his new wife and her much younger kids, and especially he was favoring Lori, who at that moment was 10 years old, and Steve showered both of them with gifts and his love. Well, just to give you an example of how Steve was treating his own flesh and blood.
I didn't really have my dad full-time into my life until I was 16, right?
But leaving kids behind to embark on road to success and wealth in order to later provide for them pales in comparison with how Steve allegedly treated his younger son, Winton. According to Steve Harvey's ex-wife, Mary Lee Harvey, the comedian was taking the super old-school approach when it comes to disciplining his son. And of course, it stirred some jealousy when they saw how Steve built a brand new family just with Marjorie and her daughter, Lori.
Told you I wanted to start dating. So you took me on one of our annual father-daughter dates to my favorite Japanese restaurant.
Now, it differs so much comparing to what Steve tries to show in the public, and he actually thought that his money would silence everyone. However, the more eye-opening stories the audience learns about this man, the more they demand to cancel him once and for all. As one person commented, Steve Harvey sold his soul and still is. That's why his career is where it's at today. And another user added, Steve is full of she can't stand him. It's okay to love your stepkids, but do right by your own biological children and love on them first. Well, Steve has been hiding behind the mask of a perfect dad and relationship guru for way too long. And after what his son had to say, no wonder that the whole world would turn against him. But folks, what do you think about all this? Could this be the end of Steve Harvey's career on TV? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to check my other videos.